or it's a little hard to use your T-squares. So clear off enough that you can actually use the main line here in class. And we're going to do a lettering. Moving on to lettering. As a recap, while you're doing that, and read on page 28, there's more examples and a great introductory about the scale you were just using. So that's part of your homework, so take a look at that. Yep.
Oh, I was going to ask if I did a T-square.
Oh, yeah. There's,
No, you don't need a T-square.
Where
Use your T-square, you can use this. This is called a main line. This is.
and because these guests all have a main line on them, it's actually difficult to use your T-square. So clear out enough that you can, and unscrew the main lines enough that you can move them.
There you go. So here's the trick with the main lines. Everybody's moving everything around. Once you move this down, now you can put all your stuff above the main line. There you go. All right. Like your scale. You're going to make the points around there.
Yep. So everybody, oh. And can you read that? So everybody's going to take a piece of paper. Yes, we're recycling the paper, so there's something on the other side.
You can go up here for right now. There you go. That's for your piece of paper.
You need tape and a pencil, a Ames lettering guide.
You can use the back of this. These paper, copies, and too small for anybody to read. You can use plenty more, but I think we better use the back.
Nancy, does it have to be one inch exactly? This.
Okay.
We can use a dot. Oh, you can. Okay. And it's in this stuff. Here.
You need a pencil, you need, yeah, you can take that little tape.
I'm dying.
Really? We're gonna get,
I was like, what at the store? I was like, wow.
Does anybody else need a lettering guide? Yeah, we can just share. Here's Nancy's. Here's mine. Okay. If I could have everyone's attention, we'll start together, and then this is another one where we'll walk around and make sure that everybody's up to speed. Welcome to the world of lettering, architectural lettering, near and dear to my heart. People ask me if I actually went to college for lettering, and I say yes. So I endeavor to have you all graduate from the College of Lettering as well, and we are only going to we're going to use Reed as our guideline, and that starts on page 38 and 39. He has lovely examples of other types of lettering as well, but what we're going to concentrate on is the architectural lettering that's in his example. That means everything you're going to do for this class for several weeks is only uppercase. We're only on uppercase.
you want to use back this, I think. Okay, but step one is, we need to move this guy down.
So for this example, what we're going to do is letter and class together. So as Nancy just was pointing out, you want to be able to have your main line working. You're going to want an Ames lettering guide, a pencil.
But step one is taping your paper down so it's straight on the board.
So you're going to need some tape. So this is recycled paper we're just using here in class. So where and if you'll put your paper horizontal on your page instead of vertical, this is called horizontal or landscape, and this is called portrait or vertical. We're going to use horizontal today. So get it in a comfortable spot for you. And go ahead and tape down all four corners of your paper.
Good. Anybody need tape?
Yes.
Yep, make sure it's straight. Anybody else need tape?
Jenny, two or
Oh. But I have more.
And so we're trying to do all these in-class exercises, so when you get home, this isn't the first time you've ever done this. So that's why we do all this in class. So everybody, then, the next step, and I'm gonna draw all the steps up here on the class board as well. So here's my piece of paper on the board. I'm gonna go ahead and tape across the corners. And you guys can talk about the tape later on.
Okay. Oh, later? Okay.
So this is what I have on my board so far. The next thing I'm gonna do is draw a border around my piece of paper because I want my piece of paper to have presentation quality. So I'm gonna measure down 1 inch, 1.5 inch at the bottom, 1 inch, and 1 inch. The reason we do the bottom one is it's a holdover from framing and presentations. It gives it presence, so it's not just floating there. It's weight. So I'm going to draw a line across on all the corners.
A regular 1 inch on there. So not 1 inch equals to something. There's a 1 inch on your scale. No, on your ruler.
So
Okay, so you also need to make your vertical line your triangle.
your triangle, because you have your main line going across the board here, and you're going to use your triangle to make all your vertical lines.
So make them light because
Here's one.
thank you.
And depending on your right or left-handed, it might be more comfortable to hold your triangle one way or the other.
Okay, so now's what time we tell you. All horizontal lines are drawn with your main line or your T-square. All vertical lines are drawn with your triangle. You never draw with your scale.
Because your scale is a precision instrument.
Okay, Adele, you chime in whenever you want.
I hope you don't mind, but it's a
Not
pet
at
peeve
all.
of mine.
No,
When
absolutely.
students come to my class and I see them drawing lines on their scale,
Right.
I worry about that. It's a precision instrument. You use it to measure only. It's not a ruler to draw along.
Okay, thank you. All good. Okay, so I'm gonna walk around now and just make sure everybody got to that step before we go on, okay?
Thank you. So you're a teacher in Florence, and what do you
Really nice look.
Site design skills.
Everything goes up above that. Otherwise, it gets up in the
What are we not supposed to use to draw?
The scale.
It is a precision instrument. The triangle, yes.
Yes,
Not-
this one is the only, this is
That's a measuring device. Yep.
What happens is it gets gouged when you draw a little bit.
I have no
I
idea.
use both sides.
Do you do that? All the way up or just,
Oh, okay, now here's one of my other tricks. You guys are all making a dot where you want, like your 1 inch and your 1.5 inch. So when you go to pull your triangle or whatever to it, instead of lining this up and trying to find exactly where it is, put your pencil,
you just made like a little
back on the
star.
dot.
Just like when you cross the line.
You leave this. Sometimes you have to push this down, because some of these are skinny and they go on. So you put your pencil on it and you pull it to it. So then it's right where you want it to be. I'll let it come out. This one's easy. Then you put your pencil on it. So then, looks like he's on good track. This is your six. So when you come back, don't try to line it up, put your pencil on it. And then it'll be right.
Oh, I
Now
see.
you're. Yes, yes. Okay, so that was a good question, Rita. So it's better to have your lines too long than too short. So crossing them is better than not having them made.
And you will laugh yourself.
That one looks great. Did you hear me talking about the word pencil too?
I was listening.
Okay, so let's pretend you marked off the head. Okay, so we're gonna mark off the head. Okay, so you want to get your triangle there. Alright, so you know, so you're gonna do one of these things, you're gonna try to find it, maybe that's on the side. But the easier way is-
That's what an eraser's for. That's what an eraser's for.
And I'm on it.
Yeah.
So you put your pencil on it. That also helps with,
That's the beach.
you know, let's say, it's along these lines and you try to get on the side and say,
This guy, just like the car, you can see.
yeah, let's go ahead.
You know, you made it as an item in the whole thing. You have to be like, so we can help with the scales.
Now, the reason these are great is for that, and, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, how fun is that?
Now, there's another little cool tool that we don't have in five, like a little tool, and it's filled with,
I like
eraser,
it's just
whatever,
about like.
and you can even have your pencil go like this, and it's got, the fabric is very porous, and it falls through, and you just take it, and you kind of rub it around. So it doesn't take off the line, but it takes off the smudge.
Okay, that's,
Some people don't like it. I do. These look pretty good. Let's see.
so we're talking that technique.
Fabulous. Okay,
Now
now,
look at how
oh, they don't need.
I am going to have to go back.
Okay, so now the trick is, where's your pencil?
You can always cross
Pencil.
your ends.
We're not in the pen.
You don't have to. It means you follow it.
Okay, so now the trick is, so you wanna get back to that?
All right, everybody's ready to move on.
That's awesome. Where'd you
Oh,
get this
yeah,
one?
oh, this is the art piece.
Next step. Everybody, if you can look up here for 1 sec, we'll go on to the next step.
Yeah.
We're going to add our title block to our lettering example. Okay, so I want you to measure up. I'm going to erase the May line here for a moment and the triangle. And add back in my well-drawn piece of paper with a border around it now. So now I'm going to measure up 2 inches on here. 2 inches, 0. Oh, never mind, I was being silly. So here's my 2 inch, and I'm gonna draw a line across. And then I'm gonna go across 3 inches and draw my vertical line, another 2 inches, and then I should have 4 inches left over here. So I'm gonna draw basically 3 boxes at the bottom. Okay?
So, 2, 2, and 4, is that what I'm saying?
2,
Too high.
2 high, 3 inches, 2 inches, 4 inches. Okay?
So this is the standard title block that we're gonna use for the class. It's gonna look a little overbearing on this little 8.5 by 11 piece of paper.
Right.
But when you get a chance and look at the back, most of
Sorry,
us
She
have
said
title
she
blocks.
was gonna
It's gonna contain all of the information that's gonna go on all your title blocks.
It gets more complicated later. I know, okay. Scale this one. No, it's just, it's an oversized title block.
Everybody got that? Your heads are still down, so I'm not gonna start talking yet.
Those are always so pretty.
When you're all done, take,
They're not ready
look,
yet.
look up, so I go on to the next one with everybody. Okay, good, good, good. Okay. So,
So if you're noticing that your pencil isn't too sharp anymore, you can sharpen it. But one way to keep your pencil sharp is when you're pulling your pencil for these horizontal lines, you're supposed to rotate it a little bit, kind of like in your fingers, rotate it. It stays sharper longer.
I love the little ticks. I think the ticks are fabulous, and I think you should include them on your drawings, so. Here's a term for it, crosshairs?
Crosshatch?
Crosshairs? No, no. There's a term for it.
Crosshairs or something.
Yeah, I bet crosshairs is something else. Never mind. I know about those too.
Okay.
I do. So, all right. Now, for this example, and for this example only, because in all your other work, including the homework assignment that you're going to do, that has this at the bottom, we're going to put 3 items in our title box. You're going to put the client, the scale, and you're the company. This is you. This is the company. So we're going to put client, scale, and company. So I want you on this, yes, Nancy?
The date,
Well, I know, I just explained, we're not putting everything in. Because the things that are missing are the date,
that date.
the title of the drawing, and the page number. But because we're gonna run out of time really quick here,
Okay.
we're only doing 3 things. But when you go home, your example already shows the outline with the 3 other items in there, okay? Because we need to get to lettering. So what I want you to do is, we'll draw a 1/2 inch tall, and I don't care how far down you do it, but just draw 2 horizontal lines that are a 1/2 inch apart from one another. Somewhere in that 2 inch block, you just,
Oh, that's where you're gonna be writing.
we're gonna write.
Are you supposed to do this really faint?
You can, yep,
Yeah, as
yep,
long as you
yep,
can see
please.
it.
The,
This is when if you were actually doing this on your graphic table, you might use the 4H letter, the 2H letter for your horizontal lines.
and these are called the guidelines, and they do not have to be erased on your drawings. Guidelines never have to be erased. half inch tall, 2 horizontal lines. Everybody's good? Yeah. No, not yet? Okay. We're sharpening. I'm looking around. Anywhere in those 2 inches.
Okay, so, do you have an erasing sheet? See, that's when you could use your erasing sheet. Oh, it's easy. There you go.
Okay. So this is just, so it's to represent what a title block, this is your first attempt at a title block. And we're going to have a client, a scale, and your name as your company, or if you want to already put in what your company name is going to be. Mine is Belvedere Design Group. I came up with that because I grew up in a neighborhood called Belvedere. And it means good view. So that's where my title came from. So we are going to practice our first set of lettering, which always starts with a warm-up. So somewhere else at the top of the page, I'm going to do my warm-up. And this is from the sketching book, the blue book. She always starts with doing, oops, my pen's not working very well, just a set of warm-up.
And these are freehand?
Yep.
Okay.
Horizontal and vertical lines. So this is what I want you to be doing on your page. Just go all the way across, pretending these are going to be part of, okay? It can be any size because we're not on any particular scale. This is just an exercise. And it's your warm-up. It gets your hand going. And then so that you are drawing straight up and down. Now later, when we have assignment like 2 and 3, I'm going to let you use a straight edge to make your verticals and your horizontals. But today, because I want you to know you can do this, everybody can do this. It is learned. It's not just this innate ability to draw straight lines or draw a person or draw a chair. It's a learned activity. So you're going to practice your vertical and your horizontal stripes. And this is part of the warm-up. So every exercise that we do for lettering and for the sketching homework will start with the warm-up. And there's more details about it in the book. It talks about increasing the spacing on your lines. And I'm not concerned about that tonight, but you can read about that in the book. And it's also a great way to try the different pencils so that you know what an HB lead feels like compared to a marker. So it's getting to know your materials. Tools. Your tools. Thank you. Okay. So everybody's warmed up? Our client, our first little blocks over here on the left tonight is GWU. And that's all you're going to write there. So I see we're running out of time, but our
Is this a pro bono client?
Yes, this is your pro bono. Here is in the, homework assignments, you're gonna be copying the alphabet directly from this. I want you to put a piece of trace over this and actually copy these letters. And because we have 2 more things to do yet tonight, I'm kind of forging ahead, but I'm gonna want you to put G, W, U. Use the top line and the bottom line as your guidelines, that you want the top of your G to touch it and touch the bottom. This is all freehand.
Were we supposed to write client for you?
You can. And then our scale is going to be 1/4 inch equals 1 foot dash. And my company is my name. So they're big blocky letters, straight up and downs of the vertical lines and straight and horizontal lines for like the E's and the T's.
But really what's gonna help you learn how to do this is putting a piece of tracing paper over top of in your read textbook and practicing those letters.
Yep.
And the 1/2 inch is much harder to draw than the 1/4.
When you go larger, it's like me drawing an enormous box. Well, my line starts to wander a little bit. Okay, so as a quick overview of what I'm coming back over here. So the homework is truly, you gather all your materials, you start with the warm-up, and you're going to copy read on page 39, which is this little bit that I've included here. But I want 3 pages next week of homework that are just filled with read. And always put a title block at the bottom. And so the other parts of the title block that are missing here are the title of the, let me put it down.
Julie, can they turn the paper the other way?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Title, date, and page are the things that are missing on our title block right now.
You wanna give them that handout, because then they can ask you questions now while they're
Sure,
there.
Okay, so this is your lettering homework.
Who came up like with this style? It's a very stylized book. So, like, is there something to keep in mind when you're doing it that makes you have that kind of feel to it, or?
Well, if you look, architectural drawing has only been around, like, 200 years, 150 years, not that long. But if if you have any old books on like Frank Lloyd Wright and all the old, I have some old blueprints of clients that are actually blue. So all the writing is white and the background is blue, and the lettering is so beautiful. You can't imagine. Just Google architectural lettering. There might be something in your book about how long ago.
Did you like think that's what the you have it, or you just have it?
Just from practice. Yeah, and you know what, you'll learn this one, and then you can sort of develop your own style afterwards. Yeah, and there's a lot of different ones, but we're not confusing you in the beginning, but I have tons of other options to give you, because people start to develop their own style with this. And to me, one of the interesting things is, some people can do tall, skinny letters. I'm going for short everything, so if you wanted to do tall, and I wanted to do my name tall, you could do it this way, but it's much easier to do it this way. If I want big, I'd rather do this. So there's a lot of different ways to do it, but the bottom line is, all of your drawings are gonna have labeling on them, because you're not there to explain your drawings. So learning how to do the graphics and the drawing is part of it, but learning how to put the labels on is the other part, and there's a hierarchy to the labels. The more important the item is that the label is, the larger it should be. So And since clients love themselves, their font size or their label is usually the biggest. And it's very hard to hand letter anything bigger than about 2 inches. It's really hard. So after a while, you learn how you can type it on the computer and print it out, and then you slide it under your tracing paper, and you trace over it. And you'll see on some of the examples that we bring in, that's what we do when it has to be bigger than, a ½ inch, and you want it to look professional. I mean, at a certain point in time, you can actually print it and cut it out and tape it on there. Then sometimes it's crooked, and then that starts looking really bad. So, but in the beginning, you gotta learn how to do this, because you're gonna be doing sketches for clients often. You'll bring some drawings, and they'll say, oh, let's change this around. So right then and there in front of them, you gotta be able to whip out the tracing paper, do a few sketches, and leave them with something that actually has name, date, scale, and whatever notes you want to put on there. Make a copy. You have a copy. The contractor has a copy. Everybody gets a copy. But it looks like a professional piece of work. So, learning how to do the guidelines and how to set up a drawing is sort of like, like baby steps. But it's the beginning of making it look professional. I mean, yeah. So where'd Julie go? This is back there somewhere.
I guess part of the practice is trying to figure out.
Yeah, whatever.
So on the assignment that I sent, the questions that I've gotten, which were great, this is what we're calling the read style. And there are dozens of different styles, and you're gonna, gravitate to your own style. But for now, we're starting with the ABCs again. So for several weeks here, this is what I want to see, and all in uppercase. There will be times to go back to lower and uppercase and do the other ones Nancy was just showing, but right now we're just doing this.
And trace it the first time.
Mhm.
Or you can trace it like 5 times. You can trace it while you're watching TV, you can trace it with everything. And I say the best way to start doing this is, you're taking your grocery list, you're paying your bills, anything that you're doing by hand,
Mm-hmm.
use this font. And then after a while, you just get the hang of it.
Yep. St. Clair?
The vertical lines are thinner than the horizontal lines, so how do we do that? What pen creates that image? I kind of read the chapters.
Oh, you've already, it's how you hold your pencil.
So is it one pencil we should be using for this exercise?
Well-
No, you're gonna wanna try all different pencils.
But he's saying for some letters, you switch pencils in the middle of a letter.
No,
I do not.
to get the thin line, horizontal line, and the thicker vertical line, though. Is there one pencil that will do all?
I don't
It's the
personally.
way you hold your pencil, and I
Okay.
think you will
Because
find
once
that.
you've been using the pencil for a while, you get that big flat side, and then if you turn it around a little bit, then you've got the skinny pointy side.
Alright.
That's right. It's a practice thing.
It's almost like a fountain pen, then I guess.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Okay, the
And-
other thing,
and Are they just penciling for this one? Just pencil?
this is pencil for now. The other thing at the very top, it talks about what your guidelines on your homework are 1/4 of an inch apart. And we're just gonna do that right now because 1/4 is really easy to keep horizontal and vertical on. If you were at 3 inches, it gets much harder if your guideline was 3 inches apart. So try the 1/4 with 1/8 of an inch between it. And the other thing we neglected to get was our Ames lettering guide out, and because I was jumping ahead, so
We'll do that the
9
next
o'clock.
time.
We have to move on. I'm so sorry. So read about the Ames in the book, and bring it
yeah.
next week, and we'll learn about it.